Good evening and welcome to Talking Songs with me, Rowland Jones. How are we doing out there today? Has it been sunny where you are? No, not very much here either. But there you go. So, well, we're here again. This is episode number 36, I think. 36, 37. But thanks for all of you for joining in. We've just hit 104,000 viewers so far since we started doing it in June, which I'm very pleased with. And we shall shortly be starting an additional episode, which I think I'm going to do every fortnight, where we're going to have like a group of people on, like a sort of Nashville style in the round thing. So people do a song and then we go around. Not quite sure how many people we're going to have yet. Probably 3, maybe 4. See how it goes. Any more than that, there's people going to be sitting there for hours on end, which doesn't make for a good participation, I don't think. So. So before I introduce today's guest, I'm going to do a little tune for you. And I have to say, one of the things that I've noticed talking to everybody whilst we've been doing this and other musician friends is that the general feeling is that we're all out of the habit of performing. You know, you go from doing 3 gigs a week or something like that, and then suddenly you do nothing for days and days on end, and all the days are the same. And it's quite tricky to get back into it. So for those of you out there who are doing other things, best of luck with it all. And I suppose really that's my excuse for actually having some lyrics in front of me. Also, this is a new song, so I feel reasonably justified with it. This is something. When I say new, I mean it's been written during the lockdown. But this was actually when there was some sunshine around. So this is called Sunny Day Blues. It's a lovely afternoon, but I'm feeling blue. Sitting here all alone with nothing much to do. I've washed my clothes and cleaned my shoes. I got nothing to left but sing a sunny day blues. And I've done some cooking, I baked some bread. I cannot count all the books I have read. I'm surviving, I'm doing fine. I've done nothing wrong, but I'm still doing time. We are still a couple of miles apart. Feel like I've been sentenced, guilty of a broken heart. We'll be together, I hope it'll be soon. Till then I'll enjoy a sunny afternoon. So bye for now, but not for long, until we are back where we belong. I tried a crossword, but it was way too hard. So I've tidied my desk and polished my guitar. I can't concentrate on what I wanna do, 'cause every time my thoughts come back to you. I've done some writing, lots and lots of words. Not sure if it's funny or just plain absurd. It's kept me busy, give me something to do that takes my mind off missing you. We are still a couple of miles apart. Feel like I've been sentenced, guilty of a broken heart. We'll be together and I hope it'll be soon. Till then I'll enjoy a sunny afternoon. So bye for now, but not for long, till we are back. Till we are back. Till we are back where we belong. As you can gather from the words and the feel of that, it was written when it was a sunny day. I haven't seen any of those for a while, but there you go. So now I have with me a gentleman called Michael Woods. Now, I met Michael, let me think, October 2019, I think it was, when we were both doing a gig for Blues Matters magazine over in sunny Southport. So, without further ado, as they say, here is Mr. Michael Woods. Michael, where are you? Are you there? You are. Good. Good. How are you doing, mate?
I'm fine. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
It's all right. Absolute pleasure. Yeah. Am I right? Was it October 2019? Does that sound about right?
I think it was. Yeah, it sounds about right. Yes.
Yeah. Seems an eon ago, doesn't
Southport,
it?
Yeah.
It was definitely Southport. Yes, that's true.
There was Trevor Babajack Steger was there. Yeah. And Mojo Hand with the other people who were on the acoustic stage, I think it was.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Because I think they were on. Were they on first? I can't remember. Yes. I don't remember much about them, to be honest. I remember us three chatting because I've got a picture somewhere of the three of us standing in front of a Blues Matters mag poster. So, Michael Woods, tell me about Michael Woods. When did Michael Woods start playing guitar?
Right. Well, I can give you the relatively long version and the good old short version that my mum always used to give. But I come from Durham City in the northeast of England. Grew up there. I know the first guitars that I saw were my dad's cousin. He had guitars in Galston-on-Sea, Great Yarmouth, and we used to go and visit Granny, and we always used to visit my dad's auntie, and his cousin Christopher had proper guitars because he used to play the holiday, the holiday camps and things like that.
Right.
And I remember on pain of death as a 4 or 5 year old being told, don't you dare touch them, sort of standing there. But anyway, so yeah, that's about that. I sort of, didn't play music till I got to 15 years old. Of course, by that time, I had quite a catalogue of stuff. Grew up listening to. I've got an older brother and sister, so I was listening to an awful lot of stuff that was probably older for my age. Lots of stuff like Jethro Tull, Pink Floyd, Hot Rats by Frank Zappa.
Oh.
My sister had things like Cat Stevens and Paul McCartney, all the Beatles stuff, because my mum bought all the Beatles stuff, so I listened to the Beatles stuff as a kid. My mum was a big listener of radio, so always on in the house.
It's interesting you say that about having an elder brother and an elder sister, because I similarly had an elder brother, but because I'm slightly older than you, mine is also out of my. Because I remember, in fact, the first gig I went to was going to see the Everly Brothers.
Right.
So I'm one slight half a generation ahead of you on that one. So but Jethro Tull, I have to say I can remember buying the first Jethro Tull album. This was, and absolutely adoring it. And then about 10 years ago, listening to it again and realizing how much I'd stolen from it.
Well, my first experience would have been Thick as a Brick. My brother bought Thick as a Brick. But he must have had a really good friend at school, because he used to bring home all this stuff, and like the country blues, which I really got into big time, was through Live in Europe by Rory Gallagher. Pistol Slapper Blues, Blind Boy Fuller would have been the first time I'd ever heard of a country blues artist. And that sort of all. So basically there was a lot of music in the house. I went to see my sister in Hull University. Listened to an awful lot of stuff that her boyfriend had in his room whilst they were at lectures and things.
I was wondering what you're going to say then. I was a bit worried. It's a family show.
The big song, the big tune that it was Brothers and Sisters by the Allman Brothers.
It
was the album. I came home, I bought Live at the Fillmore East, Eaton Peach, and I just got into playing the guitar. That was 15 years old. By a couple of years, in 2 years' time, by 17, I was playing in the Big Jug Folk Club, was just 10 minutes away from where I was. And it was a very thriving folk club in Durham at the time, where I got a lot of experience of people firsthand, right, face to face playing, drinking my orange juice at 17. And I mean, that was the start. And yeah, I think I had friends at school. I was going to join a band, but then of course I got an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar. But the acoustic was what really took off. Really enjoyed playing the acoustic, and once I'd started finger picking, that really was what I wanted to do.
Okay, well, I think that's a good point for us. Let's have a tune from you then, a finger picking tune.
Well, this is going to be a tune. These tunes are all sort of coming on a forthcoming album that probably might have forthcome by now if events hadn't overtaken us.
Yeah.
But this is a tune called "A Little Bit of What You Fancy Does You Good." There's a little bit of advice I read online. Everything you do contributes to you dying. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Here's a word or two I can't keep under my hat. Let me tell you something that's well understood. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. Have yourself a single malt or a pint of beer. Well, take your fishing rod down to the pier. Ride that bike, drive in that car. You really don't have to take it all of that far. Let me tell you something that's well understood. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. Hey, you there, relax a little bit. Forget all of that about trying to keep fit. Write that book, pour out that back of wine. If you don't have to do it all of the time, let me tell you something that's well understood. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. Come all you people now and stop working late. Here's something Dr. Woods would like to relate. Pay tax to the man up until you die, but take some time off, enjoy it on the fly. Let me tell you something that's well understood. A little bit of what you fancy does you good. Get yourself out and watch some R&B, or maybe blues with acousticity. Grab your partner and hold them tight. We'll keep on dancing until the morning light. Let me tell you something that's well understood. A little bit of what you fancy does you good.
Nice, excellent. When you were saying before about going to folk clubs and starting to see things in folk clubs, what sort of era are you talking about now? You're talking about the 70s,
late 70s, yeah,
late 70s,
very late 70s. Probably I missed its heyday, I guess, and it was a couple of years there at the 77, 78, 79, where it was still pretty good going.
But it doesn't seem to be that. I mean, because I would have been like 10 years earlier than that, and I mean, we had an amazing folk blues club, and we had like Gary Davis came and played. We had, although I couldn't go that week, I'm still cursing that. But I did get to see.
I'd love to have seen him.
Exactly. We there's I also got to see Mississippi Fred McDowell, which was something special. But then there was that, because there were places like Cousins in London and all those sort of places. It was a big thriving community. But I mean, is there still a folk club community in the Northeast?
Durham's pretty strong. It's always had a good folk club network, and it's still going pretty strong. Possibly, maybe not as much as it used to be, but it's still doing a pretty good job. Some of the people, one of the big people I saw that really had a big influence on me when I first went there was a gentleman called John James.
Oh God, yes, Welshman, yes.
And, what a guitarist!
Yeah, fabulous player.
He was a real big inspiration when I first started. Sort of sitting right next to him, doing that. It was great. Still got a lot of his good, 2 or 3 albums on.
I'd forgotten all about him, to be honest. I can remember Carmelo playing at clubs when he was playing in the late 70s. He was a phenomenal player. But those because there were a lot of other guys earlier on than the period you were there, obviously like Dave Kelly was around, and still carried on, as did Joanne Kelly. And there was one who kind of disappeared without trace. Was a guy called Andy Fernback. If you've come across that name,
never heard of him. No.
Phenomenal. If there's a wonderful album called the British Blues Revival, is it? And it was actually produced by Mike Batt, of all people.
All right,
He was about 16 at the time. And it's got Dave Kelly on it, Joan Kelly on it. It's got Tony McPhee. It's got Bob Hall playing piano on it, and all that crew. But there was a very strong thing about folk clubs in London and in the Northeast and in South Wales, where I was. But they seem to have they just become watered down, or is it that there are more performers these days?
I think there's more performers, but they're I'd say there's still some very good ones in the Northeast that are still going strong. Of course, it can occasionally be patchy, but there is still a good network. There's still the Folk Roundabout magazine still churns out the information, the necessary information of where things are and what things are going. And like I say, there's still quite a lot going on.
That's interesting. So what? Carry.
As you say, the one at the Big Jug in Durham sort of disappeared a long, long time ago. But I think that's it. At the end of the 70s. That was the end for that one. But
I think
they've always, those things have always dotted about because of the nature of venues and things like that, haven't they?
Yeah.
But,
because it's. I mean, I'm sure that Manchester in that era, because it was before I arrived here, but it was. I'm sure there were loads and loads of folk clubs, but now there are a huge number of open mic nights running.
Yeah, I think open mic nights, yes, has seemed to taken a lot of maybe some of that space. Yeah,
I think that a lot of it's to do with that.
Yeah.
So let's have a talk about your songwriting then. How do you go about? I mean, did that one start off as a phrase or
a guitar instrumental?
Yeah.
And I think that it started with, there was the guitar instrumental that I'd knocking about for quite a long time. But I don't think it ended that way. I think what happened with a little bit of What You Fancy Does You Good was started with the phrase. And then from that, trying to work that into, having sung that and thought, oh yes, that's what I want at the end of it, is it's sort of, you sort of transmogrify the whole guitar instrumental and find you're playing something different than what you started with anyway.
Yeah, but to get to that punchline, it makes sense of it. Yeah, it works well.
So I mean, some of the verses there, some of the experiences are a bit about a little bit of what you found. There is, like, if you get on every time you go on the internet and Facebook and things, they're always telling you this is going to kill you or that's going to kill you or this. And I have quite a lot of cousins actually, but I have a couple of cousins who are very keep fit orientated, and they did. I'm sure you're probably well aware of this. The 2020 for 2020. Did you run 2020 for 2020, or did you pass on that one?
I passed on that one.
Yeah, I passed on that one. But they were doing 2,020 miles in 2020, which seemed to me like sort of, oh, yeah. So I thought, like I say, as far as relax a little bit, you know.
It reminded me of something I saw on YouTube the other day, and it was an American, I can't think what his name is, American TV presenter, comedian, sort of TV host. And he went through this list of people, like Jim Fix, the man who invented jogging, died of a heart attack at the age of 56. And he listed all these people, and they had photos of them, you know, so-and-so who came up with a such and such diet, died at the age of 54, blah, blah. And it went through all this, and a dozen people. And then he said, and Dave Crosby is still alive.
Yes, that's it.
This picture of Dave Crosby, who is now massive, you know, I mean, Dave Crosby was never a health freak, I don't think.
No, I don't think he doesn't look like it, does he?
He doesn't look like.
I think he looks like the morning run type of guy, does he?
No, I don't think so. But I the beautifully put together sequence. I thought I liked that a lot. Now, one of the things that struck me about listening to the stuff that I've heard you play live and stuff that I've heard on online is there is a lot of that. There is a sort of part of that folk club tradition, which is storytelling. Yeah. And I don't mean just generic storytelling. Like, I mean, yes, every song is a story to a certain extent, but specific stories about specific people. Yeah. I heard one that you did. I can't remember who the subject. It wasn't one of yours. But do you have a hankering towards that sort of side of it?
I do a little bit. There's a couple. The next one that I'm doing is that sort of way. I think having been so sort of involved in the folk club tradition in the Northeast and played a lot of acoustic music, the story part of it really comes out. I've always really sort of seen the struggle, the working man's struggle in Britain sort of coming. You know, a lot of the folk songs are from the sort of Victorian era when we're sort of the Industrial Revolution, and you know. All that sort of stuff is very similar to the sort of struggle of the blues men in America, and I think it goes to. I watched Matt Long last week say to you, that it's difficult to write blues songs about America and the Mississippi when you're not from there. So I've tried to sort of try to incorporate a northeastern sort of thing within what I do.
Great. Okay. So what's this song about then? What's the story?
It's called The Subterranean Ball.
Okay.
And you know, that's a good title for a song. Yeah.
Fantastic.
The Subterranean Ball. It's basically I did some local history digging around here where I live. This is a London and North East railway house built right next to the railroad, which is just over there behind you.
I never noticed it.
On the other side of the tracks, there was the South Gosforth Colliery.
Right.
And this was dug in they started digging it in 1825. They didn't finish digging it. They started digging it in 1825. Took them 4 years to find coal.
Right.
Which sounds like an awful long time to me. They found geological problems, which meant that they had to go and dig further through solid rock with, you know, pickaxes and all that sort of stuff. But basically the mine was owned by the chap who was the MP for the area and also the landowner of the Gosforth estate, a Reverend Brandling. And the Reverend Brandling, he has two pubs named after him round here, one the Brandling Villa and the Brandling Arms. And when they found coal, in a very enlightened moment for the era, because 1829 is not a great time to be a working man in Britain.
Absolutely not.
You can see that what happened was he decided that when they found coal and they got there, that they would have a ball down 1,100 feet beneath the earth, and they set this chamber out with flagstones, chairs around the outside. They had biscuits of all kinds, No, we're in the temperance era, so
Yeah.
you're not getting a drink down there. But the amazing thing is yes, considering it was the International Women's Day yesterday, apparently half the people who were at this event were women,
Right.
and which is a novelty because obviously you don't get women down mines back in those,
No,
that
absolutely
didn't
not.
happen. So basically, they took all these people down in their finery. They had a bit of dancing and a bit of drinking and biscuit eating and stuff, and then they all came back.
That's extraordinary.
Which actually is when most mining songs in the Northeast are usually about disasters. And,
Disasters, yeah.
The gruesome elements of coal mining and industry. Is that
Which in the main it is, frankly, isn't it?
In the main it is, yes, as there aren't many light moments as far as that goes. It's just that it just seemed that, like, yeah, go on, we'll write a song about that. So this is
excellent.
Subterranean Ball.
Brilliant.
Okay. Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Well, things looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. 1,100 feet beneath the earth. We got a ballroom for what it's worth. It's got chairs round the outside, flags on the floor. Candles, lamps, who'd want more? Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Things are looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Things looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. Ladies and gents and pitmen who brought the wives, daughters and sweethearts too. No distinction ever was made. Everyone had fun that day. Oh, come all you people and gather around. Gonna have a party on the other side of town. Well, things looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Things looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. Refreshments brought, food of all kinds. Cock's Lodge band played down in the mine. Joy and merriment, black and king. The devil's ground, I think not today. Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Things looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. Come all you people and gather around. We're gonna have a party on the other side of town. Things are looking up, but we're all going down to the subterranean ball. To the subterranean ball. To the subterranean ball.
Excellent. Tell you what, it's got a feel to, and I don't know if you know a song called The Ugly Bug Ball.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Liam Redbone recording of it, which is it's got that same sort of, I mean, it's that sort of rag sound to it. It's lovely.
Yes,
lovely stuff.
It's like I say, is that the raggy stuff, your Gary Davises and people like that is what really got me sorted as far as guitar playing goes. So it's sort of a happy working song.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I think you're right, but it's something that's kind of lost in a way because people have this idea that the blues and acoustic blues in particular is doer, but a lot of it was was played for people to dance to.
Yes,
I mean that's the whole the origin of the sort of the thumpy bass line was the fact that it was. They didn't have amplifiers or anything, and that's why people started using Nationals when they came out because they were much louder and they could play on the street and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, it was cheerful music. Yes. Well, a little aside, you mentioned about the temperance movement then, and we were talking earlier about the things about a little bit of fancy, a little bit of what I fancy.
Subscribe.
No, not me. When a friend of mine always proudly wore a T-shirt from Yates's Wine Lodge, and the Yates's Wine Lodge was actually started at the time of the temperance movement, and their slogan was "Moderation is true temperance," which I think is utterly priceless. I think that's.
Yes, that sounds funny.
Although having said that, during this pandemic, I'm not sure there's been much moderation been going around it.
It depends on your definition of moderation, doesn't
Absolutely,
it?
yes, yes, absolutely. Moving swiftly on from that. So yeah, so who of we've talked a bit, obviously, the origins of what you're doing, and I mentioned a few people from the that's the John James, the Stefan Grossman era, that sort of thing. Obviously, you were hugely influenced by that, I would suspect.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
What about these days? Who is there around these days?
As far as the finger,
apart from your good self, of course.
Well, I'm a big fan of somebody who I think you were going to have next week, but you're going to now have later on, Max Bernardi.
Oh, Max Bernardi, yeah, Max is brilliant.
Wonderful player.
Yeah.
Piedmont Blues, which is Valerie Turner, is another great player.
You're right.
Really enjoy that. But like I say, as far as things, I listen far and wide. As I always had a sort of an idea of listening to absolutely everything. So people like Derek Trucks as
fabulous player.
Goes, it's just out of this world.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, yeah.
But like I say, it's a big sort of listen to all sorts of people like that.
Talking about Max, actually, have you listened to any of his? He does a series on YouTube called Max Picks.
Yes, I have seen some of that. Yes,
it's really good stuff. I think he's a wonderful. I had first song when we lived in Italy, and because originally they were it was like a 4 or 5 piece band, and it was called Veronica and the Red Wine Serenaders.
Yeah,
and with a double bass player as well, a female double bass player and a dobro player. Yeah. And but Max is star, absolute star.
Yes, I was hoping to go and see them the last time they came over to Britain, but I think I was one of those times where every time they played somewhere, I was playing somewhere else or something. I was somewhere else. There was some reason why I couldn't, But that's one of those things, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's on the list. Yeah, no, I think he's a great player, and they're nice people too.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about other songs then? What sort of we've had cheerful ones. What about the serious element of not necessarily doer, but do you tend to write on a hit? I mean, I don't know how to explain this really. Do you tend to write stuff that is, in a sense, historical, or?
No, I think I sort of jump around a bit. There are things on the new album that aren't. There's a couple of There's another one that's similar to the Subterranean Ball, but then there are some that are more sort of traditionally sort of blues type things. That aren't really historical like that at all, and trying to be in the sort of idiom of what the blues would be without sort of mentioning any Mississippis or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I mean that was the point of the conversation with Matt, and I've had the conversation with several others. Is that I mean we do, given what sort of genre people like you and me are working in, we do have a tendency to talk about Cadillacs rather than Ford Cortinas,
Morris Marinas don't work.
Exactly. Well, I always quote the fact that a guy that I worked with in a band for many years wrote this song where the opening line was, "I got to Matlock just before the break of day," and it never really.
No. Well,
doesn't
one
quite
of
work.
the good things about Durham is that it is actually, of course, Durham, North Carolina, is where Gary Davis and Blind Boy Fuller.
Oh, were they? I didn't realise that.
So it's one of the things that tickled me when I was starting is that
it's the other
randomly heard Blind Boy Fuller's song on a Rory Gallagher album in 3 years before I started playing, and then after a couple of years of playing and work, and then bumping into Stefan Grossman's stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
Think, oh, that's it. oh, so they're from Durham, are they? Oh, that's funny, isn't it? You know, so
That's brilliant.
so it always tickled me, the fact that they were from Durham. So, you know,
I didn't know that. That's an interesting one. That, yeah, I do remember once saying that I'm meeting somebody on a bus in the States in New York State, and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Manchester." I'm not actually from Manchester, but I said Manchester because I thought there's a better chance he would have heard of it than Swansea.
Yeah.
And I said Manchester, and he said, "Oh, man," because it's a Manchester in New York State.
Yes, yeah.
So he said Manchester, New York. I said, "No, Manchester, England." And he went, "No shit." And that was it. That's all he could think of. It stuck with me, that one. So, but no, the Durham story, I like that. So,
Yeah,
how about another song then?
Yeah, sure. This one's going to be. This one is sort of more. It's. I like to describe it as far as the guitar part goes as a. It's a mix between John Hurt and me being John Hurt and Gary Davis, or trying to be. It's turning out to be me instead, hopefully, because I'm never going to be them two, am I? So, being that sort of a legend. So this is going to be. It's called "Don't Follow Me," and it's really about, you know, bad luck and trouble. Yeah, I don't want you to follow me at all, and that's basically it. Don't follow me.
Cool.
Don't follow me, I'm going home. Don't follow me, leave me alone. I'm going back where I belong. I'm going back where I belong. Don't need bad luck, follow me to my door. Bad luck and trouble were my only friends. They came to stay, now it never ends. I'm going back where I belong. I'm going back, I've done nothing wrong. Don't need bad luck, follow me to my door. I just want to get back on my feet, hold my head up high as I walk down the street. I'm not really asking for that much more, just want you waiting at the door. Don't follow me, I'm going home. Don't follow me, leave me alone. The sun's gonna shine in my back door. The sun's gonna shine in my back door. Good luck and fortune gonna wander me some more.
That's quite an unusual. It's got a feel to that because it's got a, to me, just on the first time hearing, it seems to have like a verse chorus structure, but also you've got a little bridge, sort of almost like a middle eight section in it.
Yeah, yes. That's
which is quite unusual.
Probably the Elizabeth Cotton
Right.
The bit in the middle, yes, that bit in the middle is a sort of, I guess, is she's another big a big influence from mine. As I love what Elizabeth Cotton does and how she picks, and I have been known. I mean, I'm good old left-handed. I've been known to try and play all her stuff the other way around on a right-handed guitar, just like she did. And that's something that yeah. But yeah, that tune, I guess that one started as an instrumental, and I've always found that because I've done an awful lot of guitar teaching in my time. Certainly, as far as playing tunes go, is I've always tried them out on people who I teach. I know that as far as for a while, I used to teach in a school on Thursdays, and I'd give sort of like half an hour and then another half an hour to groups of four kids. And I know when playing that one, they like that one. And there's nothing like children for giving you an honest opinion on what
Absolutely.
what you're playing.
Yeah.
Had quite a few in the time that I've been teaching. Yeah, I think that's always been a good one, a good way of thinking. I think I wrote the tune and I thought, I quite liked the way I'd written it and was quite happy with it. And then it was a case of sort of like, I think the phrase, it comes from the first phrase. It's a good old Facebook idiom of follow me. Yeah, following people. I thought, don't follow. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Don't follow me, follow me.
It's interesting what you're saying about children, though, because the thing that I mean, one of the things that the acoustic guitar, sort of evolved into becoming, the instrument of the people, if you like, in the 60s. Really, I mean, nobody, and. I think his name disappears, but I'm sure you remember who I mean. There was a guy who used to do a series on BBC, on the BBC, about playing acoustic guitar. He published loads of books, and he's still got a company. I'm not sure whether he's still alive. But the whole point of it was that although the really, really good pickers, you know how difficult it is and how amazing some of these people are. But the essential starting point is relatively simple.
Yes.
And it makes it very accessible. And I think that's, I mean, it's, you must find that with kids learning a guitar, it's a lot different to people learning how to play the piano.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Certainly, as far as it goes, I mean, I've been teaching now 25 years. There is no sort of stereotypical guitar pupil. I get all ages, girls. Sometimes I have more girls, sometimes more boys. Grown-ups, they're a different kettle of fish. But like I say, it's interesting. I think the kids are great. I love teaching kids because I think they sort of most of them they really try hard at that's the thing is they don't know what failure is, whereas when you're teaching grown-ups, the most common thing that you get from an adult is it doesn't sound like what it's meant to sound like. Whereas kids, I mean, bikes don't sort of like go like bikes should go, because you fall off them and you graze your knees, and you sort of, and you just keep going until you can, sort of thing. And I think that's the same thing with the guitar is that there tends to be that sort of element of ploughing through it all.
But there's also the thing about it is that I mean, it's funny when we first started this conversation, you were talking about your uncles and your cousins, and it was the same for me. I first picked up a guitar because my cousin had two, one of which was his father's, which had been given to him, and we sat down one Sunday evening in 1966, and he showed me how to play 8 chords. Obviously couldn't play them perfectly, but we just sat down and worked my way through. But the thing was, in relation to that, somebody posted something on Facebook the other day, and it said, and the question was, what was the first song you learned to play on guitar? Now, what do you think the most frequent one was?
No, good question. I wouldn't know. What? Go on and give it to me.
How's the rising sun?
How's the rising sun? Yeah, I still teach that today.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to think. As far as me learning, I taught myself, and my mum's version is that I came down one day after my brother had given up trying to play the guitar, and I said, "Can I turn the guitar around left-handed?" My mum and dad sort of went, "Yeah, okay," having never whistled a tune or hummed a tune or done anything, which I'm sure is not quite true. But anyway, so that was where I came from. I turned the guitar. I did actually try to play right-handed, and found that I have no rhythm in this hand, and it's the rhythm's in your
Absolutely,
in
yeah.
And I changed the guitar around, and I never looked back. But
There's actually a guy on
the first. I don't know what the first tune I learned was, but I do remember a very important piece of information that Hank Marvin had said in something I'd read, and that was, if you can hum a tune, you can play it. And I sat there trying to work out. I was thinking, nah,
that's not true yet.
And then one day I know that I had an upside down Telecaster Zenta. Well, it wasn't a Telecaster; it was a Zenta from the auction room. It cost me 20 quid. It was upside down Telecaster, and the Brothers and Sisters by the Allman Brothers, Jessica, the big instrumental on it. And one night I just went and got the whole damn thing. And I came out my bedroom and my mum said, "Have you just worked that out?" And I sat there and I thought, yeah, actually I have. And that was, I think, a big turning point in the sense that confidence-wise, it was like sort of, wow, yeah, I can do this. I've just done it, and from there, that went on, big time from there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was going to ask you, when you turned the guitar over, right, you've got this guitar, which has been, strung for a right-handed player.
Yeah.
When you turned it over, did you immediately restring it? The reason I ask is that there is a guy, I can't remember what his name is.
Oh, Ben Waters.
No, it's just a local guy.
Yeah.
It's really funny because he and his girlfriend, they both do open mic slots. And the first time I saw them together, she played the guitar first of all. He got up, took the guitar from her, turned it the other way around, and then played a load of finger picking stuff with
did that.
But he did it with the rocking bass, but with his fingers. I was
now.
just.
After about 3 years of guitar lessons, people sit there and say, "Oh, you're playing my guitar upside down, aren't you?" Yeah, I've been showing off for a long time, but you've never noticed. But yeah, I mean, no, the first I did actually turn them round the right, so that they were proper.
The right way.
Never tried to play it upside down until actually a bit later. But like now, like I say, I'm left-handed. We have a right-handed guitar in the house for teaching purposes. And yeah, me and my son, who's left-handed, we can both play upside down pretty reasonably.
But as you say, the important thing is, I mean, I can't remember who first said this to me many years ago, was this idea that when you first play the guitar, what tends to happen for lots of people is that they struggle with the left hand. They think they can strum, so they just bash the guitar a bit with the right hand.
Yeah. And
they think the left hand's really, really difficult. Whereas in fact, the thing that drives the guitar as a rhythmic instrument is your right hand.
That one makes the sound.
Yeah. And whether you're playing, gypsy jazz or finger picking or playing funk or whatever. If you I don't know if you've come across an American band called Wolfpack.
No, I haven't.
No, he's a phenomenal guitar player with a guy called Cory Wong.
Right. Yeah.
And he appears to have a right hand that's made out of some sort of flexible rubber, because his right hand is so floppy when he plays funk. It's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Worth checking out. It's just beautiful. Beautiful player. So I think we could do with another song. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we can do another song if you like. Yeah. How are we doing for time? We're
all right. Yeah. Well, we normally sort of sort of peter out at about 7:30. So we've got.
This was going to be the last one, but if you want me to do one after that, I've got another one up my sleeve. But this one's it's called Bloody Dagger. It just goes to show that the range of influences on this one were, yes, the Shakespeare and his daggers, that famous quote. But the other thing is that Blind Willie McTell, fabulous blues man. There's a couple of songs that were really sort of put me this way. Was the Dying Crapshooters Blues.
I don't know that.
Where he lists how he'd like his funeral to go, which is rather an extravagant affair, with a lot of crap shooters and people tending bar as he's travelling along, and 26 women out at the Hampton Hotel, and you know, it's
he knows what he wants, doesn't he?
He knew what he wanted. Yeah, he knew which way he wanted to go. And there was another one, It Must Be Love, which was actually about good old Edward and his abdication. King Edward. Yeah, King Edward Blues, which is fairly topical at the moment, I guess.
Yes.
But the other thing is that I guess as growing up, there were things like a lot of songs where 3 Steps to Heaven. You know, everybody's going to heaven in a lot of songs. I'm in heaven when you smile. That was Van Morrison. Yeah, Jackie Wilson said. And those sorts of songs. So I thought, I'm going to get one where I get to heaven by the end. So this is called Bloody Dagger.
Okay.
I don't know why the birds are singing, I don't know why the sky is blue, I don't know why the sun is shining, but I do know I love you. There's nothing I'd rather see than you and me in perfect harmony. At a party, singing and dancing, that was when we started romancing. We both felt in the mood, baby, that's why I love you. Let's dance. Missed you, drive, blah, 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 that's the scat verse. It goes really like this. I tried to text her, I must have missed you. I'm out for lunch with my sister, but you just caught me when I kissed her. Baby, I'm in love with you. Is this a bloody dagger I see sticking out of my chest cavity? My heart is thumping, my head is bumping. Try to talk, can't say something, but it's hard to say why. And I think I'm gonna die. Somebody please call for an ambulance quick. I'm beginning to feel rather sick. Said I'd love you till the day I die. I didn't know that my end was nigh, but I got to heaven by and by. It's baby I'm in love with, I'm in love with, baby I'm in love with.
Excellent. Scat verses as well. Good man.
Yeah,
You see, you shouldn't have said anything. Nobody would have known. That's one of the things I always used to say to students. If you make a mistake in the middle, just don't say anything. Don't look embarrassed. Just point at somebody else on the stage.
Yes, that's it. That wasn't me.
When you say you've got a new album coming out, yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you record songs ready for an album, or do you like to sort of road test them first a bit before you record them?
Bit of both. I think the fact is that often I've had albums where I've had songs ready to go, and then something's sort of sneaked in there right at the end when you're sort of playing things, and you think, I'm going to do that one instead. I've done that a couple of times. I did a couple of instrumental albums that were all written by me, and that certainly tends to happen when you're doing that. I think, is you sort of think, I'm going to do all of them, and then something else happens. So with this album, I think most of them have been there ready to go. I think.
Is it principally this one? Is it principally just you and guitar, or have you got extra instrumentation on it as well?
It's 14 tunes. Me on guitar, 12 of them are songs, 2 of them are instrumentals. There is an extra guest guitarist on the last track, my sound engineer.
The multi-talented sound engineer.
My multi-talented sound engineer, whose favourite phrase is, "Dad, do that again." That tends to be something that, but yeah, my son Charlie, he's a whiz on all things computers. So he tends to sort of, we do most of the recording here, just simply on the basis that it's the expense of going to studios. And, I think first album I did in concert in County Durham at the a miners' hall in concert that was run by ex-steel workers. I did an album there. Second one was done by a guy named Ren Hunter in Hayden Bridge, and he used to record 2 and 3 sort of like solo artists and duos, and he had used to do in his living room in his house, and started doing the third one through him, and then of course Charlie sort of graduated onto doing all the stuff, so we ended up doing the fourth one solely here.
You see, you've got the big advantage of having an in-house engineer. You see, because
a great thing, you see, yeah.
I mean, although I've got all the gear here, inevitably it's all surrounding. The thing is that I've done 4 albums in the last 5 years, and I've recorded. Well, one of them was a live album, but the other 3 I've recorded in a studio, because I know if I was here, first of all, I'd be fettling the thing for until infinity, just trying to get it so I liked it, and secondly, I wouldn't have another pair of ears on it. And that's one of my main things about going into the studio, is to have an engineer there who sort of co-produces it, and also the fact that the clock is ticking makes me a bit more disciplined about what I'm doing. But you've got the advantage.
I find that has an alternative effect on me. I sit there and think, oh God, I've got to get it done. Yeah, so
the red light fear.
When you just sit there and do it again, is actually makes it a lot of help. Right? And the only biggest problem is obviously with teaching guitar in the same places, you're forever sort of putting things up and taking things down, and it's not like having a recording studio, but that should be sorted fairly shortly, because he's now got his own house, and we've got a recording studio that is more or less.
So you've exported the hat as well. Well done.
Ready to go. So it's pretty much I think he's well on the way to record mogul sort of guy, recording, engineering, mastering, and
Great. Listen, do you want to do another song? Would you like to do another song, or?
I can do you another one if you like.
I think that would be nice. I have to say, it's been good listening to you. It's been quite interesting. I'd forgotten all about John James.
Oh, what a player. He is really, like I say, I saw him a couple of times in Durham.
Yeah.
And He just knocked my socks off, like I say. As a
Yeah, unfortunately, I saw him lots of times in various folk clubs, but the one time I remember was the embarrassing one, because I was doing some tunes before he came on, and he was just walking out the door, and the compere said, "No, another Welsh bluesman," and I started to do a song, and I sang the opening line without a cappella,
Right.
but I hadn't taken the correct pitch off the guitar correctly. So I sang the first three lines. Then when I started the guitar, it was in a completely different key. And he was stood at the door about to go to the bar, and he looked and turned away. And I thought,
Yes.
No, that would have been about 50 years ago, that, and it's still stuck
with you. Yes.
I can see the look as he turned away.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. I sit there and I teach people. Of course, one of the most favourite songs to teach people that they're going to actually play people. This isn't in a different tuning, so I'm sort of whistling about. It's Happy Birthday, of course, and the biggest problem that you've got if you ever play Happy Birthday is that certainly in a group of people, they all start at their own pitch.
Yes.
and you know, and is that I tell the kids, as I said, look, if you're in your family, you know, and you're going to sing Happy Birthday to Mum, get them a note.
Yeah.
And you know, and start before you actually start. You know, and make sure that you're not sort
of... That's what I hadn't done that night. I was so nervous anyway. But incidentally, the Happy Birthday thing. Do you know that in the States you can't sing that in restaurants?
All right, is it the copyright?
It's the copyright issue, because I can't think who was telling me. It was some Brit who'd been over there, and they'd gone to a restaurant for somebody's birthday, and they started singing it, and the manager came over and said, "Look, sorry, you can't do that. If you do that, we have to pay copyright on it."
Yeah, that's a laugh, isn't it? Yeah.
Strange.
Well, yeah.
Okay, then, Michael. So, what are you going to play for our last song then?
I'll play the title track, "South of the River."
Okay. Which river?
Yes, it could be any river you like, really, but you know which river it is if I come from Newcastle upon Tyne.
Yes, there's a good chance.
I come from Durham, but we've lived in Newcastle upon Tyne for 30 years, and really the title comes from a time when my wife, who's sort of has Welsh roots and southwest England, Gloucestershire, we met in Cardiff, and after 3 years of being in Cardiff, I came back up here, got a job. She came back a year later when she finished her college, and she got a job in Newcastle General Hospital. And of course, Durham's 20 miles south of Newcastle, which is probably more or less the end of the earth to a degree. It's so she went to Newcastle General Hospital, and she was explaining to a couple of people that she lived in Langley Park, which is 5 miles outside of Durham, Old Pit Village, and but not really anywhere particularly special, although they were notable for the fact that Bobby Robson, England manager, came from. But other than that, not a lot. So she's sitting there saying, I live in Langley Park with my boyfriend from Durham. And this guy's going to Langley Park, and the other guy said, it's south of the river, man. But of course in Newcastle, quite a lot of stuff's south of the river, other than Bonnie, Scotland.
But I remember years ago. In fact, I was in London, and I was staying on the south bank of the Thames, and I'd gone to buy a guitar. In fact, and I'd gone to buy. It was a Guild Synchromatic that I'd bought, and it was beautiful. Right. And I picked it up in Charing Cross Road, and I got a cab back to the hotel, and I got a black cab, and I directed him to the hotel because he didn't know where it was. And as I was getting out, he said to me, "Can you tell me how to get back to the river?" I said, "You're a black cab." And he said, "I haven't been south of the river for 30 years. So I had to direct this black cab drive." That's absolutely true. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Okay, then, Michael, take it away.
Okay. I've been south of the river but now I'm coming home. I've been south of the river, but now I'm coming home. Ever since I left your loving arms, I've been away too long. Yeah, I've been away too long. Got those East Coast blues, yeah, all of yesterday. I got those East Coast blues, yeah, all of yesterday. Ah, but as I traveled home, baby, well, they all blew away, yeah, they all blew away. When I cross that bridge, baby, I know you'll soon be mine. When I cross that bridge, baby, well, I know you'll soon be mine. Well, I'm coming home to you, darling, in about 5 minutes' time. Yeah, about 5 minutes' time. Well, I'm south of the river, but I'm coming home to you. I've been south of the river, but I'm coming home to you. Every minute in your loving arms, well, drives away these blues, drives away these blues, drives away these blues, drives away these blues.
Great. Love it. That's nice driving on. I like that. Good one to end on. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for performing. Thanks for talking a bit about the guitar. Thanks for reminding me of John James. I'll try and remember the last bit. Yes, I shall check him out because he was something special. Or I presume
he's got some
right.
Pie in My Sky is a great one with Pete Berriman, and I've got, was it Descriptive Instrumentals or something, which was his one on Kicking Mule with Stefan Grossman. And,
yeah.
And there's a live one as well. That's great. Yeah.
Must check him out again. So thanks again, and hopefully we shall meet in real life again soon on another Blues Matters gig. Who knows?
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. And in the meantime, look after yourself and stay safe. Okay. Cheers,
Thank you very much, Rowland. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Yes, embarrassing experiences. Yeah. John James. I've got that stuck. I can still see the look on his face. Big thank you to Michael Woods for that. That was good. So that's it for this week. And I've just gone a complete blank and I can't remember what we've got on next week. But I shall be putting it out on another product. I've had to rearrange a few of the upcoming dates. But thanks for joining us. As you can see from the ticker tape running across the bottom, you can find out more about Michael's music on michaelwoodsmusic.com. So thanks for dropping in. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and see you again soon. Cheers. Bye.